we're going to talk about pathologizing, and I think it can be so easy when a client is feeling deeply sad, for example, or full of grief, or they're experiencing behaviors that aren't so productive for them or helpful, to immediately going into what's wrong, or to feeling uncomfortable in our own bodies. Usually that's what happens first. And then we go to what's wrong and how do we fix it, that kind of thing. And so I love the idea of just kind of moving with all of it ourselves, in these different intuitive movement practices. How do we hold each of these feelings, each of these emotions, each of these sensations? How do they move with us? How do we move with them? And how do they inform how we show up together? So that was my thought around that. And so why I want to talk about why I'm not particularly interested in pathologizing my clients, it is because I see it happening pretty rampantly. I put a post on social media. It was just a repost of Connor Beaton's post about like how everyone's talking about narcissism these days, and like everyone's a narcissist and we're all experts on narcissism. And I cannot scroll much anymore because I'm just so tired of seeing what's wrong with all of us, what's wrong with our partners, what boxes do we need to put ourselves in, what boxes do we need to put others in order to understand and then control them, essentially. That's not obviously everyone's intention, but I think it can be so easy to fall into those places. I sure have done it a lot. Our brains want to hold on to something that we can make sense of really easily, and then figure out how to relate to it, and then figure out who we are in relationship to that, right? And so when we put these labels and boxes on ourselves or other people, it helps our brain organize to go, oh, here I'm safe, nope, not safe, or how do I help this person feel X, Y, or Z? And that's not to say that there's also a flip side. Like diagnoses can be wildly helpful for some people. When we're really suffering, and all of a sudden, like for me, when I understood what neurodiversity was, all of a sudden I felt like I'd been under the ocean for 10, 20, 30 years. And I could breathe because somebody named my experience for me, and I didn't feel so alone. And I had a little bit of a map for, how does somebody who experiences neurodiversity like me live in a world like this? So it just helped me start thinking about different things. But then once I start just thinking all neurodiversity is one thing in one box, then I start suffering. Am I supposed to be doing it like this or that? Am I supposed to tell people about it like this or that? If I tell people I'm neurodiverse, are they going to think I'm just this? And so there's so much nuance here. There's so much. And the point that I'd like to make, and then I'll open it up to y'all, is not that we don't diagnose. Well, we can't diagnose if we're not licensed to diagnose, but put people in boxes unless it's an act of deep support, right? And it's one thing that I like to do is, like I do with everything else, give people choice, things to be curious about. Might this help? Might this give you something to think about, instead of this is who you are, right? There's a difference between this is an experience you might be having, this could be a part of what's going on, versus you are this. Do you get the difference there? There's a lot more freedom and space to move and experiment and explore within one. And the other feels like not a lot of space to grow, evolve, shift, change, reveal ourselves. And I love being able to create freedom for people, or help create freedom with them when we're looking at all these things we are. I'm the first person to be like, I'm an Enneagram 4, INFJ, have complex PTSD, neurodiverse, queer, like go on and on and on. I feel super proud of all of those, actually. But I think it's when we get into those things are bad and we need to fix them so that you can fit into X, Y, and Z paradigm, that we're honestly being violent to ourselves and others. And so we need to be so mindful about how we talk about the identities we carry, the diagnoses, the boxes, all of it. And so the invitation here is, how do we meet these things with depths of compassion? If a client shows up and they maybe they have complex PTSD, right? And they are really suffering with a lot of symptoms and a lot of relationship issues and experiencing depression, anxiety, not sure who they are, not feeling productive, whatever it is. How do we not jump right to, let me fix it? Let me show you all the tools to get you out of that place. And how do we start with the brilliance of what's happening right here and right now? How do we start with what's working about right here and right now, about whatever it is that they're suffering with, that's trying to support them, trying to care for them, trying to help them survive, and start illuminating with them that they're not bad or wrong for suffering here, that we're not going to subtly give them messages that they need to be different, just like so many other people might be in their lives. How do we pause and go, okay, maybe you do not want to be here right where you are, but I'm okay sitting right here where you are with you. I don't need you to be different. And we want to be sure that when we're sitting with our clients, and I know it's so difficult. I'm going to talk about goals for a second next. To see somebody suffering and not be like, okay, there's your goal. Let's hit the pavement running. Let's get away from here, without sending them the message that also here is okay. Also, you're lovable as you are. You're enough as you are. This box that you're in, this diagnosis, is not a death sentence. There's actually something completely sophisticated and incredible about how you are doing you. And I want to bring this in because I think this is what makes us next level practitioners, where we're willing to be with any discomfort in ourselves that goes, this is hard. Let's get going out of here. And to just really sit down in, this is hard. I'm cool sitting here with you in it. So that we're not sending people subtle messages that who they are is hard to be with.